Hello guys, welcome to this first video on how to use Google spreadsheets. In this case we are gonna illustrate how Google Sheets works in terms of formula usage and how you can leverage this tool to improve your data analysis skills. It is really important because right now there is a increase in trend on having people that knows how to analyze data. Of course, we currently have tools available based on artificial intelligence that allows us to improve our skill set, but still we need to know how to leverage Google Sheets without AI, because at this point there is companies that indeed rely a lot on artificial intelligence tools, but still we need the human element that has the ability to distinguish between an accurate analysis made with artificial intelligence or if there is something that is going wrong. So this is an exercise that we are having an analysis on the data that has their initial setup as a contact center. So this exercise is about a contact center based on the sale and buying of interstellar spaceships. So we have customers here that call because their ships do not work, or that the artificial intelligence is malfunctioning. So this is just to illustrate how we can analyze this information. If you work into the contact center industry, you will find this extremely useful. But if you are a complete beginner on Google Sheets, you are also gonna find this interesting because the usage of the formulas is gonna help us identify bottlenecks and red flags on this dataset. Then the date of week, which I like to use the text function. For example, I find it extremely easy because, for example, if you wanna indicate the date of the week with a number, you have the number 6. So you have Thursday, or you can have Thursday. Completely up to you, but I like to leave it like that. Same thing with the month and with the year. And another thing is that at the very beginning I started with only the top cells. I deleted them right now, so you see how to scroll the formula down. For example, you can do it this way, but it will take you a lot of time to do it, right? Because it's a manual scroll, and you'll see that the spreadsheet is taking some time to actually put the formula there. But the other way to do it is to select the formulas like this, Command C, then you hit Command Shift down, select the entire range, and then you paste as just like that, paste entirely, formatting and everything, and you'll see that the formulas are appearing completely. And then we take a look at how this information is actually composed. Like we have the line of business, which you'll understand that sometimes people call because something on their technology is malfunctioning, or if they want to renew their service, or if they want to buy a new service or a new technology. We have the ticket for reference, the unique identifier. We have the reason why they're calling, the channel, if this is via email, WhatsApp, Facebook. We have the wait time on the queue. Also, we have the type of customer, which is either a basic customer that only purchase the basic programs, or the pro, or even the ultimate. These are the customers that pay more. And we have the country where they are handling this information. And also we have the language that this interaction was attended, if it was a transfer or an abandoned interaction, and the tenure of the agent that was handling this customer. So you'll see that we have a lot of data here, and this is very common on complex contact centers that manage international operations. You will see this very often. So it is a good exercise for a couple of things. One, you are going to be able to understand the formulas, how they work. If you're a complete beginner, this will set you up for success when trying to understand some data set. And if you are in the contact center industry, you will see that this is very complex. Not a lot of contact centers have this level of detail, but if you know how to analyze this information, you are going to be able to analyze basically any other type of contact center information. So we have BPO. BPO means business partner operations. If you do not know a lot of contact centers, BPO means that if you have a company and you need people to answer the phones and you do not want to hire agents, you outsource this service. So that's how we call a BPO, a business partner operation, and in this case, the company is named Orion Interstellar Services. And also, we have here the service level agreement. So the service level agreement is basically for those who are not aligned completely on what this means. This means that if we answer an interaction within 60 seconds, for example, and our customers that pay the most money, they want their calls answered in the first 15 seconds, but we answer it in 106, that means that we are not carrying or part of the deal. We should have answered this way earlier. That's why we have a 0 here. So this has a lot of impacts, of course. You'll see that the CSAT, which means customer satisfaction, this is basically from 1 to 5. The number 5 is the happiest. And this customer was not very happy with this, That's why, because we didn't get the service level, he is the most ultimate customer. He's paying a lot of money and he's not getting what he's paying for. So that is basically this raw data information that we are going to start analyzing. So one thing that you gotta keep in mind is, why do we have this information? For a couple of things. One, you need to know how is your volume, right? That's what we are intending to know. Volume patterns, incoming volume patterns by channel, which channels are having the most amount of volume, because it involves then if you are having your agents skilled, or if they know how to handle a WhatsApp interaction versus a Facebook interaction versus an email interaction. The tools are different. So you need to have specific people with specific skill sets to handle these patterns of volume. So that's why we need to analyze this to know if we are having WhatsApps coming in at 5 a.m. and we do not have people skilled for WhatsApp at 5 a.m., then we need to do something, right? Because we have customers waiting there for attention, for help. They're seeking for help. So the other thing is that with these volume patterns, we also know if the customers are happy based on their CSAT scores. This is very important to know, because that is gonna be like a thermometer for the company. If they're happy, we have to keep them happy so they keep buying and the company revenue increases, right? So that is a very basic way that I am thinking that this is easy to understand, right? So the other thing that we're measuring here is the service level. That if we are meeting our targets, we are gonna see, but through the analysis, that we are basically not handling very well the interactions. Another thing that we wanna do is why we are not getting the service level, why some customers are not being happy, and why we are having this increase of volume. So basically, we are gonna have to compare different data, like how many people we have scheduled or staffed when the WhatsApp channel starts spiking up in volume, and if the agents are being productive or not, if we are having agents that are not handling as much volume as others, etc., etc. So we gotta analyze volume versus agent productivity, SLA, if the customer is happy, volume per the channel. Another thing is that we have to know why the customers are calling. If there is a system issue on our technology that is happening all across the board, we need to know. We need to know, because that way we can tell the engineering team or the development product team that their technology is having a failure. So we have to identify here customer issues by interval or by day to see what the heck's happening, why the heck is our customer calling. Another thing or another parameter that we can consider to compare is sales patterns. Is the sales increasing or decreasing through time? That is another thing that we have to know to make suggestions to the right stakeholders. So I'm gonna move on to the first point here, that is volume patterns by channels. I already did it, so I'm gonna guide you through how I did it. The first thing is that this was basically counting by month how is our incoming volume behaving. So we have to, let me do the formula from scratch so you know how I do it. So basically we are gonna use the COUNTIFS formula. COUNTIFS, I recommend you to always do the multiple criteria ones, because if you start with the COUNTIF normal, it will only let you count one, right? So you don't know if later you are gonna need to add an additional layer of information. So that's why I recommend you to always use COUNTIFS. So counting items by multiple criteria. So in this case, we need to know in January 2025 how many interactions from chat we got. So the first thing that we have to do is to go to import, and we are going to select the month column. We are going to indicate the criteria, which is the month of January. Then our second criteria is the year. So let's select the column that contains the year, and the criteria to count is gonna be, of course, the year. And check how I am fixing the cells. We are fixing the cells here because when we scroll the formula to the right, these references do not move. So I'm gonna then go to my tab again and select the column for channel. I fix the cell, and I'm gonna select the channel, which is cell number D1, and I'm gonna fix the column this time, the row. I'm gonna fix the first row. So when I scroll the formula, this doesn't break. So you'll see that, for example, when I am scrolling the formula to the right, you'll see that the cell references didn't move. What would happen if I do not fix the cells? Let me just unfix the cells. So you see what happens. See that I get these mistakes, like it breaks, right? Because the cells are not fixed. For example, I am counting here column F, but column F do not have the identifier that I am looking for, that is the month. So that's something that you have to keep in mind, and this takes practice to understand how that works. So do not discourage. It takes some time. I'm gonna leave you guys some exercises so you can understand how this works. So now we are gonna move into the daily volume by channel. We here did the monthly level. We are getting around 2,000 interactions. We see right off the bat that the chat web channel is having the less amount of interactions. But if we move to the others, you'll see that the volume is practically steady all across the board. So when the initial summary tab on a daily level, we can see the same thing over and over again. But in this case, the reference that we are going to use is the date. It's column D. So this is basically the same thing, but for the date and for the channel. So it is completely the same thing. So in this case, I am having a volume of 300 to 400 interactions per day. If you want to do like a quick comparison on how this is growing through time, we can insert here a chart to see if we can detect any specific pattern, but I do not see any consistency. Basically, it is telling us that the volume is practically the same, so it would be really easy to practically forecast the same amount of interaction to the future, because we always receive this amount of volume. Look, this is for 2 years worth of info. So we have some spikes here, but this is really not very noticeable. We have some downsides, but basically it is always staying into this layer of number of interactions. So it is basically steady. Then we are gonna move forward because we already knew the COUNTIF function. We are using the COUNTIF function, same here, but at a daily level. Then we are gonna use the COUNTIFS function, but at an interval level. On the interval level is practically the same, but you are gonna leverage what we started here with the hourly level, with the floor formula here. The floor formula is giving us an hourly interval, and that's where we are using over here on the interval level part. So we are getting between 10 to 20 interactions per interval, per hourly level. And this sparkline function is just basically doing a simple graph just so we know where the peaks are. So we put the right people there, the right people at the right times, and we can basically prevent any service level losses, right? So this is the amount of interactions per interval, but it doesn't contain the granularity at the channel level. So if we want to add an extra layer of information and make this dynamic, we move into the interval level dynamic tab, where we can filter by channel. For example, here we see that we didn't get any emails between 8 to 9 p.m. on May 1st. And if we want to do or check from Facebook, you'll see that we experience some of a different arrival patterns here. If we want to use another, we already see chat on web, you'll see that the amount of volume is completely changing its patterns. So this is important to know, because in a contact center environment you need to know exactly what's going on with your contact center. For example, if you don't know what's happening, you are not gonna put the right people in the right place, and you are not gonna meet service level, and you are gonna be having problems with your directors on why your customers are unhappy, right? So this is really important to know. There is also ways or formulas and analysis that tells you need this amount of people, but we are not going to get into that right now. This is an introductory course to know how the formulas work. So we are leveraging the COUNTIFS formula, COUNTIFS. So take a look here. We are leveraging here the V4, which is the date on a daily level. We are doing the interval, and we are doing the channel. So that's how we make it dynamic. And if you wanna change the menu here, you can add or remove channels accordingly to your needs. So that is gonna be done for this part. Please drop in the comments if you understood this initial analysis. Ask me questions about any specific formula. I'm gonna leave you guys some exercises to know the arrival patterns by customer type. So how would you add an additional layer to count only the ultimate customers? Ultimate. How would you implement this into this formula? Please let me know that in the comments, and drop me any questions, any suggestions to keep analyzing this information. On part 2, we are going to start analyzing how we are going to set up the service level thresholds for every type of customer. In this case, I already have this table done, but we're going to look into how to set it up correctly. We're going to be talking about how to measure service levels by channel, and we are going to also get into the weeds of why they are calling, and we are going to look at agent performance by date, even by interval. That is something that we can also do, and it is very important on a contact center environment. We have also to know what is the average handle time of these agents, just to be able to perform coaching. We need to train the agents why they are taking too long to answer to these specific interactions. What are they doing? If we have a directly correlation between CSAT and agent, if we have a correlation between CSAT and probably customer issue 1, if we have a direct correlation on if our BPOs or business partners are having a better service level than us, than our own contact center, or if we are meeting better service level than them, if we are having a specific language that is becoming the norm, or maybe we have most volume coming from a specific country. We don't know that yet. Yes, we can use pivot tables, but we're gonna reference that on a different class. Personally, I do not like pivot tables. I think they're not efficient, so to speak, because if you want to keep updating this tab. For example, on contact centers, we always do last day information. For example, tomorrow at 8 a.m., I have to update how our customers did yesterday. So I have to often add new rows here and paste new ticket information and see what was our service level for yesterday by channel. So I have everything already set up, but I need to continuously add new information. So that's why in this case, for me, it is inefficient to use pivot tables. Pivot tables are used on a different type of scenarios. For example, if you want to do like a quick analysis, let's say that you are interested only on the language arrival patterns, so you can make it really quickly to know, okay, so we figured out that the ultimate customers are coming mainly from a Mandarin language. For some reason, people that speak Mandarin are the ones that are getting the ultimate package. So they are from China. This is interesting to know, right? Because now we know where the majority of our customers are calling from that are paying the most amount of money. So those type of insights are very important to know on a contact center, because that allows higher levels of stakeholders to make decisions. And that's part of the workforce management team, to identify trends, to alert the stakeholders, so we get the service level into goal and basically have and keep our customers happy. So stay online for the next part of this course. We're gonna finalize the analysis of this dataset. Drop me a comment below, ask me any question that you think I missed or something that you would like to revise more in detail, and I'll be happy to answer to those questions. And give me a thumbs up if you like this video. See you on the next one.